Here's why I know how institutions fail artists, women, and marginalized people from all walks of life, because I come from a family that has seen it from all angles. My name is L.A. Bonet, and I went to Mills, a historic women's college in Oakland, California. I come from a family that has always cared about art, justice, and culture. My family has been fighting for representation, autonomy, and the right to exist in spaces that weren't built for us since America began. And I'm not saying that to name drop. Honestly, I'd rather not bring it up at all. But hey, I didn't write a goddamn will or a statement of intent to release upon my death for nothing. So listen. I need you to know that I have a unique perspective on this. And because if I don't state that now, this Mills story will otherwise be completely overshadowed by that being the revelation of an actual journalist. But anyway, who cares? Because I'm here today to tell you about the systematic erasure of a women's college that was once a beacon of progress. You may not understand how the issue of women-empowered spaces shrinking, women's colleges specifically, affects you. Mills College shouldn't have to give you our resume, but here we are. Mills College had incredible historical significance to the Bay Area and the world. Gamers? Full Throttle soundtrack? Pretty good. From drafting feminism into the Japanese Constitution in World War II to when President Reinhardt gave amnesty to internationally renowned artists like Darius Milhaud, and was also the alma mater of many famous prestigious alumni, such as NASA's first artist in residence, Laurie Anderson. In fact, many of our alums were in the precursor to the CIA, the Office of Intelligence Agency, or whatever it was called, who cares? I digress. In 2014, Mills was the first college to explicitly add protection for trans people into its bylaws, thanks to then President Alicia Decoudreau. Decoudreau. I never get it right. I'm sorry. It was not only a sanctuary campus, but was also a safe haven for not just trans people, but undocumented students as well. And so much more that we don't have time for today, but that's barely scratching the surface. If you've ever met someone bursting with potential, but constantly blocked by life's obstacles, you'd know what they needed was the spirit of Mills. It was a safe haven where dreams blossomed and the patriarchy had a no entry sign. Shit, well, it did, until Northeastern came in like a wrecking ball and said, you know what this place needs? Fewer women. Less feminism, more real estate. I just think more corporate greed would look so nice next to the credenza. Because nothing says we care about the community of Oakland like dismantling a 150-year-old feminist institution. I mean, that's like looking at Beyonce and saying, you know what she needs? Less talent. It's like burning down the Vatican and replacing it with a giant billboard that just simply says the word skibbity. Contrary to public assumptions, when the merger with Northeastern University was announced, Mills hadn't turned away male students since 1920. When they opened up their graduate program to everyone. I mean, this wasn't some out-of-touch institution. It wasn't LexCorp. It was an intellectual Wakanda, and damn it, don't get me started on our vibranium. Let's briefly rewind to 1990, when The Simpsons was new, grunge was the future, and Mills College students were rallying to protect their all-women's institution from admitting undergraduate men. While some might want to claim this was a hate movement, it wasn't. It was about prioritizing safety and uplifting those seeking refuge from the many ways marginalized groups experience injustice. So the students said, "Get off my lawn." And For a moment, we won. But that was just the first chapter. Because even back then, Northeastern University was trying to get its grubby little tentacles into the Oakland Police Department. In short, the entire East Oakland community is now at risk of being policed by a private, potentially illegal NU police force with no oversight, no transparency, and a disturbing enthusiasm for AI-driven surveillance. And it's not just about campus security. This force is creeping outward into the city, all stemming from a former center of social and political resistance at Mills College. And what does NU have to gain from getting into police business? I don't know. Training data, experimentation, federal contracts. Their own internal research hub, Sentry, specializes in predictive policing tech that sounds straight out of a dystopian nightmare. And let's not forget, a private NU police force could work with ICE in ways that a public police department legally cannot. And this is bigger than just a campus merger. The Oakland mayor's race is a battle between Barbara Lee and sheer carceral capitalism. And I suspect the mayoral and DA recalls that were aimed at getting rid of obstacles to this vision for NU police. I mean, years ago, the Oakland City Council actually voted in favor of investigating the acquisition, but mysteriously, that never happened. The same officials who once called for oversight are gone now, and who's left to hold Northeastern accountable? I mean, Oakland voters, alums, us. The only way to stop NU's unchecked expansion into policing is to make sure the city follows through on its own damn investigation. But they've been trying to get their roots in the East Bay for decades. Northeastern leered from its many hills worldwide and said, "But wouldn't it be so cute if we made this one of our Mick universities?" Behind the scenes, the sharks were circling, and NU was lurking, and trust me, Northeastern wasn't there for the campus tour. In fact, even before the takeover was complete, Mills student tour guides were literally no longer allowed to talk about Mills' history. This was a feminist haven. And I can only imagine that whoever was in those meetings with the old-timey train tracks asshole really thought he must have just been so articulate. "Yeah, I'll tie your students to the train tracks, see?" I would have cut to an interview instead of that awkward moment we had right now, but I didn't have time to find a news source willing to go on the record. And listen, I should probably reiterate, I'm not a journalist, but there's a reason you haven't heard anything about this. Think about it. It's like Disney buying a historic theater and going, "Plays? Ew, no. From now on, it's just Marvel movies and NFTs. No. You know what this place needs? More sadness." It's like going to South Africa and saying, "Hey, could you just, not mention apartheid?" I mean, that would be so helpful. And gosh, where have I heard this before? Oh, right. Every Wall Street buyout ever, my bad. At least that's the story they want you to believe. That Mills College was a frail, fragile, and struggling thing. A damsel in distress. Then they went to great lengths to convince the world that Mills needed saving. And we will talk about some of the they today, but not all of them, for they will have to wait. Before 2011, Mills was soaring. It was a golden age. Alums and the then president Janet Holmgren had raised over $130 million. Enrollment hit record highs year after year. The endowment was one of the highest in the country. 5 buildings were remodeled, and they literally built and opened a new graduate school. But then the board of trustees decided But then the Board of Trustees decided, let's hire someone with zero academic experience to take over. Enter Alicia DeCudro, an attorney with no higher education background and the academic chops of a law book, but none of the actual experience. I mean, but she was really nice, though. And the first president of color, yay. But this, my friends, is where it starts to get interesting, because when you hand the keys to someone who doesn't know how to drive in charge of one of the most progressive institutions in the world, well, what could go wrong? Let's talk about some of the claims the administration made, because they're good. I've thought a lot about this, and I'm going to do my best right now to say this in as little words as possible. So, basically, the Mills administration was out here like, oh no, my numbers fell down the stairs. Guess we gotta fire everybody. And here's the crazy thing. Mills was fine, but the administrators were like, let's just say it's not fine and see what happens. You know who else does that? Scammers. This is the academic version of your uncle calling and saying, well, listen, kiddo, I know you're only just 5 years old, but I need $500 or else I'm going to die in exactly 2 minutes. And you can't tell your father what it's for, or he's going to kill me in exactly 2. For example, in 2011, they claimed a tuition hike was necessary because Mills's net tuition revenue was $6,000 less per student compared to peer tuitions, but in reality, Mills's revenue was actually $7,000 more per student than its peers. If there's one thing you should learn from this, it's that numbers never lie, but administrators and but presidents and administrators might. Then in 2012, the administration claimed a drop in enrollment caused a $3.2 million shortfall, which would be tragic, right? Except the truth was enrollment had only decreased by 3 students. Yep. 3. I mean, that's the kind of number cooking that would make Enron blush. Bro, I lose more people at brunch when the bill comes. That's not a fiscal emergency, statistically speaking. Otherwise, every Starbucks that you personally see in your personal neighborhood would go on fire every 3 seconds, allegedly. It might surprise you to know I'm not really a math person either. But sure, let's pretend this is a financial disaster. Later in 2013, DeCudro hired a new executive to oversee enrollment. The new VP of enrollment proceeded to fire the admissions dean and key members responsible for Mills's highest ever enrollment. Of course, applications dropped by 37% in the next cycle, causing massive department cuts. That's like opting out of medical help when you're hemorrhaging limbs out of your anus. Okay, so now we're getting to the good stuff. 2016 to 2017. Remember what else was happening that year? After? DeCudro resigned after an informal, no-confidence vote by the faculty, and just as things seemed like they couldn't get any worse, enter our savior, Elizabeth Hillman, hired to balance the budget. But Hillman's idea of saving the school was less a fireman's rescue and more scorched earth with marshmallows. Hillman had applied for the position multiple times before, but never got the job until she was the only one left who, quote-unquote, wanted the job. And I promise you, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to ruin anybody's lives. But Hillman was that kid in gym class who only got picked because everyone else already went home. Nevertheless, after falsely advertising that she would save Mills, Hillman declared a financial state of emergency within 10 months and rolled out the dreaded FSP, the Financial Stabilization Plan, which is like your parents hiring you to babysit yourself, and somehow you set the house on fire before they even leave the driveway. And it was sometime between these two presidents that rumors of embezzlement started. The faculty banded together to create a plan that would have saved Mills at minimum $1 million, fully vetted by economic professionals. And the best part about this plan? No departments needed to be cut, no one needed to be fired. So what does Hillman do with this incredible boon? Fire every single one of them. What was finally approved was a revised FSP, which eliminated some, but not all, of the positions originally on the chopping block. Of course, the solution to financial strain wasn't, let's fix this. It was, cut the lifeboats, throw the deck chairs into the ocean, eat the children first. Fantastic job, Elizabeth. Absolutely brilliant. The only town halls and meetings she did hold for the faculty and students were reportedly, very transparently, lip service only. Not only that, but reportedly, she even went so far as to reverse engineer the counter-proposal made by the faculty, which could arguably be taken as forcing those faculty members into buyouts, pushing many of their retirement plans down the road. She basically ghosted the faculty like a bad Tinder date. Just, oh hey, thanks for the $2 million, love that for you. Also, I'm selling your house and throwing out all your stuff. Okay, bye! Yeah. In 2016, Hillman laid off 12 tenured professors, slashed faculty benefits, and cut 6 academic programs. And that's like if your doctor were being extremely helpful, stretching our suspension of disbelief already, and your response was to punch him in the face and go, well, no, I knows what's wrong with me! One teacher who had been there since the 1980s tragically killed himself after the horrifying and devastating layoff. Fast forward to 2020, when Hillman was secretly negotiating with UC Berkeley, the then councilman of the District of Oakland, Lauren Taylor, and others. Well, Taylor, who voted against a city council measure to investigate the acquisition, by the way, is now a big fan of the idea of an NU-funded police department with apparently no oversight mechanism, and who is using this in his campaign for mayor against Barbara Lee. Then mayoral candidate Taylor would later lose their election bid after it came to light that they were working with Hillman on rezoning Mills's campus for retail during their takeover transition. Almost everyone at Mills was enamored with our first gay president, who even came with her own first lady. But for years, she just kept wringing her hands and spinning a failure narrative about how Mills was falling behind, needed to get partners or whatever, and yet didn't work with alums to raise any meaningful capital. Basically, Hillman was planning a fire sale while telling everyone mom and dad were just fine. Still, in 2017, the Alumni Association of Mills College once again came to the rescue. They raised $2 million to fund a online platform for graduate classes with promises that the college was financially stable and capable of lasting another 25 years or more. But Hillman was already working with UC Berkeley Chancellor Carol Christ, and UC Berkeley was mainly interested in Mills's real estate. 5 more tenured faculty members were dismissed, despite the deficit being eliminated. What many don't know is that UC Berkeley had already had a long history with Mills, dating back to at least the 70s when my mother was in college. UC Berkeley students could save money on housing by living on Mills campus, and Mills students could take supplemental classes at the large university. Yet, when I was there in 2018, there was only one UC Berkeley student left that somehow knew about this deal. Besides the fact that Cal has faced lawsuits due to their reckless rezoning of property in Berkeley through underhanded deals much like corporate landowners, they too did more than their fair share in the demise of Mills. And UC Berkeley still shows no signs of stopping, having recently won a decade-plus-long battle trying to turn People's Park into more student housing. Just casually negotiating the future of a historic women's college with a politician on the side. What is this, an HGTV Shadowrun special? Mills had more financial security than its peer institutions, but the administrators kept making up numbers that said otherwise. Oh, you mean they were lying? Well, gosh, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they were just numerically challenged. Maybe their accountant was a bag of raisins with a calculator. Or maybe that raisin was the ice feast within all of us the entire time, which has in turn been dead for 20 years. Or maybe, you know what it has to be? It has to be that the water is turning the frogs gay. What? No, that's ridiculous. And please, Alex Jones, just don't interrupt me. But how do I know that? Because they cut our grassroots alumni admissions program, fired the people responsible for bringing in students, and then were shocked when enrollment dropped. That's like being rude to the waitress, hitting on her, and then not tipping, and you're shocked when she spits in your food? Bro, that's on you. And then they hired professionals who also failed to recruit and never thought of putting back the system that worked. Mills was doing fine, thriving even, until administrators with no academic experience came in and did what corporate raiders always do. Bear in mind, though, that Hillman has a PhD in history and was previously at UC Hastings. So they slashed the infrastructure, sabotaged its growth, and then said, "Whoops, folks, looks like we need a bailout." But at least they spelt folks with an X. And time and again, we see institutions fail not because they're unsustainable, but because those in power make choices that render them unsustainable. This is the college version of Elon Musk blaming economic downturn, when he himself is the economic downturn. If this sounds familiar, it should, because it's the same playbook we see everywhere. Like, when your local bookstore closes and people go, "Oh man, guess nobody was shopping there." And meanwhile, Amazon is standing in the back with a murder weapon like Hannibal Lecter just got off the phone with his best butt buddies. They fired people based on lies. P.S. This has been happening at small liberal arts colleges all over the country for years, and Mills College held out until now. And this is why no one trusts institutions anymore. Because when people show up with a problem and a solution, the people in charge look them dead in the eyes and go, "Yeah, sure, but what if we just took the money and ran?" And we're shocked? No, we don't get to be shocked. This is the same scam we've seen before, except this time it's wearing a tweed blazer, plays Magic the Gathering, and pretends to care about women's empowerment. I'd choose a bear in the woods over that any day. I will bet you 3 pennies, because that's all I can personally afford, that Hillman is sitting at home right now telling herself, hey, AI slashed its funding, gutted its leadership, and set fire to the mission statement and stabbed Oakland in the back, but damn. Guess that place was just doomed from the start. So where was all that money going? Yes, the Cayman Islands, where all good money goes to study abroad and never comes back. Oh, stupid man. Yes. Mills College, educating young minds while its bank accounts are busy getting a tan. Because why manage your finances transparently when you can whisk them away to a sunny tax haven? Allegedly, offshore accounts were made while real estate vultures were eyeing the campus as prime real estate. And you better believe I have a folder thicker than the Cheesecake Factory menu. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here right now doing this. I promise you my actual life on that. When you see the Cayman Islands accounts pop up, unfortunately, and I hate to be the one to have to tell you this, but that's when you've gone from financial crisis to Bond villain territory. And if anyone was going to coach Hillman through getting away with, at best, financial mismanagement, and at worst, fiscal murder, then you really don't have to look far. Many key players mistook member of the board of trustees, Eric Roberts, once of Morrison and Forster Law, who was also a chairman on the Mills College Finance Committee, for an attorney, but he wasn't one. He was only a forensic accountant, and at the time was associated with a law firm that prided itself on its white-collar criminal defense record. There's also the question of government complicity and negligence. And look, I am not here trying to cancel anyone's careers that are working for mostly the common good. However, it's our duty as the public to hold them accountable. Governor Gavin Newsom was repeatedly called upon by Mills College alumni but continuously ignored requests for help. But how could he ignore the fact that during a year when women's rights were being absolutely trampled, California was losing its first and most prestigious and progressive women's college? Representative Barbara Lee, a fellow Mills alumna, initially spoke against the merger with outrage, but when her career advisory committee told her to stay out of it, she shut her mouth fast. And worst of all, Attorney General Rob Bonta, currently running for governor in California, who was the only one who actually and legally could have stopped this high-speed train or slowed it down enough for people to get a grasp on what was going on, agreed to a meeting to hear all of the alums' grievances. The date was set, but then 2 days before the meeting, Bonta signed off on the merger while having all the dirty evidence in order to give himself plausible deniability. Oh, and by the way, cute little coincidence. He just so happens to be, the wife of one of Hillman's best friends from Yale. Listen, I'm not super into any politician, but I'd rather have these ones on my side than any of the current frat boys in charge. I may not know exactly what happened, but these politicians were all silenced by someone, and that's my question. It's the same playbook they use in intelligence ops. You manufacture a crisis, capitalize on the panic and confusion, make the solution seem inevitable, and by the time people realize what's happening, it's already too late. And this is exactly how I would balance my checkbook whenever I'm low on funds. I'll just burn my wallet and say, "Tell my wife I said..." You heard her. Consequently, somehow in December 2020, Hillman decides that it's a great idea to state on the record that she doesn't like the word transparency. And if this is how academia works, then forget student debt relief. Can we just get college degrees classified as financial crime scenes? Alums donated a record-breaking $9 million during the annual fall campaign. Hillman even celebrated it on her Zoom call with my class, 1990. I have to fix this later. Hillman even celebrated it on her Zoom call with the 1990 class. And then a few sentences later, she announced that the college was looking to partner the next day. The next day, question mark? A formal the next day, question mark? A formal public announcement was made. No official mention of the $9 million donation was ever made again. So, by spring 2020, things were unraveling fast. Hillman avoided giving specific answers to the students, faculty, and alums' demands about program continuity and financial transparency. So basically, what she told us was that everything was fine and that we didn't need help from the Independent Alumni Association. And then she drops a bomb on March 21st. Guess what? Mills is teaching out and has to close. And I'm sorry, but I haven't heard the word teaching out many times in my life. Have you? So how come every time I do, why is there something fishy going on? The community, as always, was ready to come through. The people of Oakland always step up. But Hillman? Well, to that she said, and I quote, nah. So some 2.5 months later, 2 alum trustees first learned of Mills College's potential merger with Northeastern University, even though negotiations had reportedly been going on since April. Yeah, they were on the board of trustees and weren't told what was going on. Not suspicious at all. During the board of trustees meeting, President Beth Hillman presented a fancy matrix revealing these discussions. The alumni trustees formally requested records related to the NU deal, but their request went unanswered, which later became a key issue in their legal complaint. Some trustees believed talks with Northeastern University began even before March 4th. Some trustees believe talks with Northeastern University began even before the March 4th vote, 2 weeks before the closure was announced, to explore strategic partnerships. Yeah, because historically, powerful institutions have always had women's best interest at heart. Board minutes show that Mills invited proposals from potential partners both after the announcement, receiving interest from institutions like Arizona State University, which proposed preserving Mills's woman-centered mission by paying off its debt and bringing in revenue through Latinx-focused women's education. Yeah. Mills had just gained prestige as one of those prestigious rare flower things as an HSU. However, all bids except... Why does this feel like a hostage video? However, all bids except Northeastern University's were dismissed. NU's proposal stood out for its allegedly unusually detailed financial disclosures compared to its competitors. Makes you wonder how they prepared such a thorough response in a pretty limited time they were reportedly given. The fancy matrix favoring NU was created solely by Hillman, a fact she later admitted. After which, to the best of my ability, I can only imagine that both she and Mr. Anderson from the Matrix politely declined to take the red pill, as they both left the room, fiercely voguing and symmetrically dabbing with each other in perfect unison every step of the way. And to be fair, it was an absolutely giving display. Despite financial struggles from the tuition reset, which lowered revenue without increasing enrollment, Mills had identified plenty of other revenue-generating opportunities. Proposals included $10 million annually from Samuel Merritt University Nursing School, $12.5 to $15 million from campus development deals with Beacon Rose and related $1 million annually from Oliver and Company, and additional projects identified by UC Berkeley. These options were abandoned without board deliberation in favor of closure and merger with NU. Why? I guess the only Oliver Mills was interested in was Oliver Twist. Please, sir, may I have some more chaos? Also, can we discuss the sheer chutzpah of Beth Hellman unilaterally dismissing all other offers? Mills had viable options, including one that actually aligned with its mission, and she went, nah, I like this one, the one that dissolves our entire history. That's like being on a sinking ship and rejecting life drafts in favor of a sponsored partnership with the iceberg. And then there's Eric Roberts, who, to be clear, was not a lawyer, despite being tied to a law firm specializing in white-collar criminal defense. That's deeply suspicious. That's like hiring a doctor who turns out to only have a doctorate in typing, "Is this cancer?" into Google and nothing else but, and this is fun, 30 years experience in jerking off. Northeastern's acquisition loomed and the Mills community became more and more outraged. I can neither confirm nor deny that 170 years of history was packed in an alleged metaphorical U-Haul and driven across country like some sort of cursed artifact. Use your legs, you bastards. This was a literal act of textbook definition appropriation by moving these critical cultural assets from the community that created and needs them. Northeastern erases Mills' unique legacy and claims ownership over its intellectual history, letting them dictate who can see these archives and for how long, centralizing power while limiting local access. Centralizing power while limiting local access, symbolizing the absorption of Mills' heritage into Northeastern's basic bitch identity. And that's not behavior you expect from a school. That's what you expect from FIFA. Hello, yes, this is the Cayman Islands Bank. Yes, I'd like to deposit my tuition dollars into a little shell company called Laundering? What? No, man, we're not. I was dead at the time. LLC. I mean, come on. They might as well slap a British Museum plaque on it. Come on. They might as well slap a British Museum plaque on it. We stole this, but for educational purposes. And please, Mummy, it would look so nice next to the Southside golf course. No, not that one, but the other one. No, the other one. Northeastern basically said, "Hey guys, yeah, so here's the deal. We're gonna shut down this historic college, take all its money, sell the land, and, yeah. We're moving the most valuable assets to Boston." That's literally the plot of every 80s movie where the plucky kids have to save the community center. Okay, so just to recap. Mills had money. The money disappeared. Mills had options. The options were ignored. Mills had archives. The archives were shipped off in an alleged metaphorical U-Haul in a literal act of textbook appropriation. Metaphorically speaking, literally. I'm sorry. No one has ever said, "Hey, let's just send some funds to the Cayman Islands," and had it not end in criminal charges. That's like saying, "I left my brand new puppy with Michael Vick and Congresswoman Kristi Noem, and I'm sure he will be just fine." Yet, somehow, after all this, we still haven't come close to the tip of the iceberg. When the merger was announced, 4 trustees sued, and the last one that wasn't threatened and scared off was buried in paperwork and not allowed to share her findings. It should seem obvious that a trustee shouldn't have to sue to do their job in the first place, and if they must, then something shady is definitely going on. And while suits may not be the most realistic lawyer show in the world, there are some universal truths we can learn from it, such as when someone is buried alone in paperwork, it is often a strategy to drown them in information and make them give up their pursuit. And when a settlement is taken, it means the other side does admit to some level of guilt, no matter how much Northeastern University will try to deny that. The lawsuit against Hillman revealed she withheld key financial documents, pushing trustees to vote. The lawsuit against Hillman revealed she withheld key financial documents, pushing trustees to vote on a merger without all the facts. Hillman manipulated the process. Her statements about the financial situation conflicted with internal reports and left trustees powerless. When Northeastern and Hillman were accused of defrauding students, the presiding judge, Judge Polito, stated, "I have struggled with what the proper forum is for this case, and whether it's this courtroom or whether it's other places. It's important to note that there are only a few courts. It doesn't belong in family court or probate court, and it was already in civil court. So by process of elimination, what court is left?" "Well, gee whiz, Scooby, I don't know. Maybe the one where people go when they commit crimes." And let's not forget, if you need to increase your lawyer insurance by $40 million like Hillman did, maybe, just maybe, you're not a victim of bad PR. Maybe you're just bad. When you look further into this lawsuit, you can see Northeastern wasted no time defrauding students. While alums built bridges with hurting students, the college provided very little emotional support. Even that first NU cohort left broken, having arrived excited. Then, just a few days later, comforting new Mills friends who just found out their majors were eliminated, alums rallied students with its shivering jimmies and chocolate chip cookies. Alums guided students to a successful civil lawsuit. Millions, were left in financial uncertainty due to Northeastern's empty promises about program continuity. NU promised that Mills legacy students would be able to finish their majors, only for Northeastern to go back on that promise in the first week of school, saying, "Change your major or transfer elsewhere," again at the beginning of the semester when no one was taking new applications. Scholarships that were meant for Mills College students were redirected to Northeastern students, breaking promises made to alumni who had donated those funds for specific purposes. That's right. Mills students got hit with the old bait and switcheroo. Oh yeah, you can totally finish your major, let alone your goddamn 2020 anti-fascist thesis during a pandemic. And then, bam. Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and hurt you. Just kidding! Change it or leave! I mean, it's like ordering a burger. And when they bring you a fish sandwich, they say, hey, you're still eating that, right? I mean, what's the problem? I mean, like, the problem is I just told you that I'm deathly allergic to fish. And then scholarships that were meant for Mills students were redirected? I mean, that's straight up academic gentrification. Furthermore, in what used to be the Strong, Proud, All Mills Facebook group, started after the student strike, which has now become the Northeastern Narrative Control Committee, it was made clear by certain Mills alums turned NU allies, such as... Fine, I won't name names, that Northeastern believes it's the donor's responsibility to make sure that the institution is using its funds as directed. Yet, when donors have confronted them about this malpractice, and you ignored the chance to answer when called out about still taking advantage of donations that were never intended for them and their obtuse opaqueness. Advocates have raised concerns that Northeastern's financial practices may constitute elder exploitation, particularly in the mishandling of donor funds. So I guess it seems that Northeastern just has a cute little weekend hobby of elder abuse. To make this dumpster fire even hotter, remember how Beth Hellman's lawyer insurance, when she resigned, was raised by $40 million? Well, you might ask, where did all that money come from? Well, my friends, that is an excellent question to ask. How astute of you to wonder. Remember all that money from the alums that bailed Mills out time and time again? Only for I'm sorry. Remember all that money from the alums that bailed Mills out time and time again, only for Hillman to turn around and say, what money? Well, in the summer of 2021, when she and Eric Roberts were the quote-unquote executive committee of the board of trustees, I don't know. So they made her the CEO of Mills for the transition because when you give up your college, the board of trustees dissolves. Yes. In other words, it was paid for out of Mills' pockets. So basically, after all your crying wolf about a financial emergency, what you're saying is that Mills can't survive because you needed to pay your lawyer hush money so that you could cover your own ass. I guess it's... all right. I mean, no. Cut that. So basically, after all your crying wolf about a financial emergency, what you're saying is that Mills can't survive because you needed to pay your lawyer hush money so that you could cover your own ass. Additionally, Hillman agreed to what's called a poison pill strategy, a contractual fail-safe equating to mob-level extortion. A contractual fail-safe equating to mob-level extortion. Usually, a poison pill is meant to deter non-serious buyers and protect the acquiring party. But in this case, if Mills wanted to back out of the merger, then Mills would have to pay Northeastern $50 million, which is the academic version of heads I win, tails you lose. Tails you lose. I just want to make sure you cut the part where the judge agreed that the BOT, the Board of Trustees, should turn over their reasoning for the school's closure to the 4 officers who somehow blinked and missed it. But they didn't turn over their reasoning. They did that suits dump. Oh, dearest lovely trustees, please find attached every irrelevant document we could think of, including cafeteria lunch receipts, my bunch of my own personal unpaid parking tickets, which you now have to pay us, yes, some collage materials, have got any wallpaper? This photo of a pretty flower I saw. I don't remember where. Oh, this napkin with a half-eaten sandwich on it. Oh, you got a good grip on that? Great. So why don't you stuff your pants with it, shit yourself, call my mom, tell her you can't stop thinking about me, ask her if I'm single, and I mean get real whiny with it. Thanks, sweet tits. How about you go to hell, amigo? Patoo, 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 patoo. Wait. Is that a Sports Illustrated? Oh, no. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna need that. I said go to hell! Sincerely, Northeastern University, go. Whatever the fucking hell their stupid mascot is. Fuck you guys. But seriously, though, how does Northeastern still get to call itself a university? At this point, they're basically a walking hostile takeover disguised as an institute of higher education. I mean, the mere existence of a poison pill strategy in this context is like putting a breakup fee on a Tinder date. Imagine, you're on a coffee date. Seems to be going great. All of a sudden, after taking a long and deeply thoughtful sip of dangerously, and I mean scorchingly so, hot coffee, wrapped in each other's eyes, hanging on each other's every word, suddenly, oh, sorry. By the way, if you don't marry me after I finish this coffee, I have the paperwork here. If you don't marry me by the time this coffee is gone, you owe me $50 million. And second, ow, my neck. And second, Bev Hillman's lawyer insurance jumped $40 million when she resigned. That's not insurance. That's hush money. With the side of, please don't investigate me to sprinkle on top. Before all this happened, Hillman received a vote of no confidence by the faculty. And with leadership like that, coupled with the far right's increasing embrace of authoritarian rhetoric and certain individuals threatening to never leave office, the radical right, quote unquote, operating on a government hiring policy based solely on loyalty alone, with Project 2025 / Schedule F and Fox News consistently aligning themselves with fascist rhetoric. I mean, you start to wonder how much trustworthy leadership is truly left in the world. Hillman knew from her time at Hastings Law School that she, as a college president leading a merger, would have been compelled to follow Sunshine Protocols. For meeting and Hillman knew from her time at Hastings Law School that she, as a college president leading a merger, would have been compelled to follow Sunshine Protocols for meetings and transparency, and yet Hillman didn't. What's even stranger is Hillman's passionate involvement in the Women's College Coalition prior to working at Mills. I mean, she was on the board. Neither she nor Mills are listed on their website now, but that's no surprise. But get this, alums even called the WCC to check if the proper channels were followed, and the person on the line responded, "Oh, Hillman's on the board. Don't worry." Meanwhile, Hillman is playing Grand Theft Academia. Oh yeah, speaking of information control, Hillman actively participated in the collapse of Mills's journalism department. According to those students, in 2017, Hillman made it a really unwelcoming and difficult experience for the entire department under her tenure. She allegedly attempted to call the editor-in-chief of the Campanile into a private meeting regarding their coverage of the financial stabilization plan that summer. Wasn't it positive enough? According to one source, the rest of the editorial team joined, during which it became clear that during which it became clear that her only contention with the student faculty was the use of the word fire instead of laid off. Ooh, it's bad. I mean, it's just so much. It's just so much to process, guys. It's just a lot. I'm on page 13 of 33, guys. And I gotta plug my laptop in. And I gotta drink water and maybe eat some of that apple that's next to me. And I gotta not go crazy while I'm doing this. And I'm really grateful for my support. So poop it all out for me, homie. Just poop it all out. Anyway, where was I? Students claimed to intuit that Hillman's motivations were only under the guise of protecting the axed professors' reputations. Students from the journalism department also stated that she attempted to be overly friendly, seeking to partner and pitch NU propaganda via email. But I now know from experience that this is a common tactic of educational administrators and public officials when dealing with the media. And wait, you're telling me she asked them to be only positive about the merger, and because of that, then proceeded to shut down questioning? Alright. I don't know what's happening, guys. What are we supposed to do? That's a lot of our questions. As a millennial, I think I can say we don't know what's going on. Alright. Okay, so Mills alums got busy. One of them had an article published in Miss Magazine. Something Mills would have always been proud of, but guess what Northeastern University did? They had the article pulled for fact-checking. Except no, that would be too normal. They did indeed pull the op-ed, but not for fact-checking, but instead actually spent 2 or so weeks delaying it in different board of trustee who could offer her own op-ed. That's right! The magazine ran 2 op-eds under the same name, written by 2 different people, in the same edition. Do we see the layers of absurdity? Why are they going to these lengths? Just stop it. Another alum engaged an investigative reporter from a major newspaper to check out all the fishy stuff. And guess what? One of them had gathered as much information as they could, and the line went dead. Not legally or literally, I mean silent. Northeastern, by the way, has close ties with McKinsey. Ever heard of them? Control the info and you control the situation. Squash the stories and you squash the problem. Silence the chat and you silence the dissent. More on that later, but Northeastern's PR strategy operates with an aggressive level of control, tightly managing narratives in a way that some have compared to state-run propaganda at large. Can we just see Northeastern's PR spin on this? As ridiculous as it is, they're making it sound normal when they're saying, no, the Titanic was just relocating to a more friendly aquatic environment upstate. And it wasn't just the journalism department that suffered from Hillman's oppressive tactics and a slashed admissions department. I mean, obviously every department suffered. And when you look at the evidence, there were plenty of avenues to help Mills. When you look at the evidence, there were plenty of avenues to help Mills that Hillman chose not to pursue. But more specifically, Mills' marketing, or rather the sudden lack thereof, that contributed to the demise. Let's go back a little. Remember when I told you about the Alumni Admissions Recruit Program, or AAR, that they had? Yeah. The Alumni Association of Mills College, or the AAMC, was an independent nonprofit that had been established in 1929 to support the college, and they did it with heart and soul, but in 2012, the AAMC president signed a new memorandum of understanding with the college's newly formed Office of Institutional Advancement, which would take on fundraising and recruitment. Also, very interestingly, completely randomly, it would now also own the alumni's directory. And this wasn't a huge problem until Northeastern showed up. Now, the Office of Institutional Advancement, another alum fundraising arm, became the happy mouth vocalizer of Northeastern's narrative, censoring all dissent. All of this resulted in decentralizing the alums' power. The loss of the alumni directory means that all communication to all alums has to go through Northeastern first. Also, something about implying votes were had when they weren't. I don't know. I'm tired and I'm hungry and I don't want to work on this anymore. It's been 5 years. It's been 30 years. I just want an ice cream. Alums became more and more alarmed and concerned for students as they saw Mills and Northeastern University screw them over before, during, and after the merger. And with lip service like that, with lip service like... This is why I'm saying my ADHD is so bad for me personally. I will never remember the original punchline I wrote to this joke ever again. But for some reason, they keep taking more and more rights away from the alums and wider community. All I'm saying is that using the pool used to be more straightforward, and I didn't feel like I had to worry about people being in my phone. I didn't have to feel like people were going to be hacking into my phone. People like Elon Musk while being on campus. Now, I'm not saying that would happen, because if apparently I would be crazy to think that could happen, or that anybody thinks that I exist. Apparently. Hold me back. However, now it's something I personally have to think about on a daily basis. And yes, internet, or as I would like to dub you, Mike Weevil. The only reason I'm doing all this is because I'm only mad about the pool. You heard her. Once upon a time, checking it at Once upon a time, checking in at the front gate wasn't such a huge deal because the previous security team happened to be so confident that they didn't need live firearms on a college campus that has, like preschool children and stuff. What is wrong with these people? Mills alums complained to the California Bureau of Private Post-Secondary Education 2018 to 2020. During that period, I should have edited that in the script, but I already did it, and I refuse to undo what I'm doing right now. Mills alums complained to the California Bureau of Private Post-Secondary Education during the 2018-2020 period, I guess, that Northeastern University had failed to do many things, such as mishandling the teach-out and contributing to a student hardship fund. Oh boy, that just hit me. Complaints were received, but no citations were issued. Meanwhile, the AAMC shut down. Meanwhile, the Alumni Association shut down its whole chat because people were arguing. And it's bad when even Facebook arguments get so intense that the whole group gets shut down. When's the last time that you saw a Facebook group just give up? Have you seen those people that keep posting chicken don't need no seasoning and they mean it? What? Who are you? And why do I care? Salt is seasoning, guys. Air is seasoning. Dirt is seasoning. Your fucking finger oil is seasoning. I don't give a fuck. Complaints were issued, but no citations were issued. Meanwhile, the Alumni Association shuts down its whole chat because people are arguing, oh, I already did this. Oh, okay. Like, when's the last time you saw a Facebook group just give up? Just give up. People care about flavorless chicken. That much. So much so that I can't finish my thesis because of the price of eggs. You have to have ADHD to understand the absurdity of my life experience. I'm sorry. Apparently, it's my fault. Because that's what everybody keeps telling me. It's like saying the internet itself couldn't handle this level of chaos. Okay, fine. People were having feelings, but neither the alumni... Neither the I'm so tired. Neither the Alumni Association or the college made space for that. There was one huge, crazy annual meeting. And then after that, there was one huge, crazy annual meeting. And then after that, communications dwindled. And soon there was no alumni link on the website. Alumni felt lost and disenfranchised. But the Office of Institutional Advancement never stopped asking for money. And they wonder why I keep telling them to take me off their goddamn list. And they still send me bullshit. Like, you're the reason I'm poor right now, dude. So good. Another story about a corporation absorbing a beloved institution and then screwing over everyone involved. That's never happened before. Honestly, burying trustees in paperwork? misrepresenting financials and railroading students out of their own education? Classic. This is like if Enron wanted to major in women's studies before dropping out and taking all the tuition money with them. And trustees suing just to do their job. The students promise stability only to be told, oops, never mind, please direct your future elsewhere. And Hillman took out a $40 million legal insurance policy. That's not something you do if you expect things to go well. That's something you do if you plan on personally starting the next. It's something you do if you plan on personally starting the great next. Fuck! That's something you do if you plan on personally starting the next Great Depression. I mean, come on! The judge literally spelled it out. This might belong in criminal court, and yet somehow no one has been perped walked out of an ivory tower in handcuffs. What a shock! But think about it. How shady do you have to be for a judge to say, is this even the right court, or do we need to invent a new legal... Is this even the right court? Or do we need to invent a new level of legal hell just for you? And I love how Northeastern basically just pulled a psych on the students. Oh, you thought you could finish your major? No. That was more of a concept than a plan. But good luck figuring out your life in the middle of the semester. Okay, lady, I love you. Bye-bye. Okay, lady, love you. Bye-bye. Okay, lady, love you. Bye-bye. Okay, lady, love you. Goodbye. Okay, lady. I love you. Goodbye. Okay, lady. I love you. Goodbye. They took alumni donations, redirected them away from the people that they were meant for, and then used that money to cover their own potential legal fallout. And we're supposed to just be okay with that. Oh yeah. Totally normal behavior. Nothing to see here, folks. Nothing at all shady about jacking alumni contributions to bankroll your golden parachute. Nope. Just another Tuesday in academia, while my student loans infinitely expands into an abyss of capitalist parasitic greed. If none of this is adding up yet, if it still seems unclear that this merger was always a hostile takeover, consider this. Hillman's military strategy emphasized strategic ops, and one could very well argue her leadership at Mills seemed to follow a similar pattern. I mean, it's just a weird footnote, is all. During her time in the Air Force, Hillman just happened to excel in strategic bombing. A military tactic designed to systematically destroy key infrastructures, weaken the enemy's capacity to fight, break their morale, and disrupt communication lines. She wasn't just a student of these tactics, she taught them. When applied to businesses, this approach is known as corporate sabotage. Corporate raiding is a method of seizing control of a company's assets by exploiting internal instability or buying out enough shares to gain leverage. While Mills College was not a for-profit business, the tactics historically and continually used by Northeastern mirrors this concept. By taking advantage of Mills's weakened financial state, one that Hillman insured, Northeastern was able to acquire the institution's valuable assets, including its real estate, its intellectual property, while dismantling its independent identity. It's unclear whether Hillman's actions were the result of mismanagement or if the hacking. That's when this really started. I mean, I knew that, and it keeps coming back to me. But it just, every time it comes back to me, it's like a deeper level of understanding of what the fuck I don't understand. But also I don't know. What's the normal response to this? Anyway. By taking advantage of Mills's weakened financial state, one that Hillman insured, Northeastern was able to acquire the institution's valuable assets, including its real estate and intellectual property, while dismantling its independent identity. It's unclear whether Hillman's actions were the result of mismanagement or if it was corporate raiding at its finest. While her intent might never be clear, the results are. The internal structure was deliberately destabilized, morale collapsed, communication was obstructed. Everything that made Mills College strong was systematically broken down, leaving the institution fractured, vulnerable, and primed for takeover. And it's not just me saying this. Many faculty and alums have described the events this way. She assured the staff that no one would be fired, but then closed for... I'm fucking page 16. I'm barely even halfway through. I would honestly just like to get this done and be done. And then I can sleep, and then I can post it. You lunatics are gonna be all stupid about it. She assured the staff that no one would be fired, but then closed their programs. Mills had 158 majors. And you didn't have California credentials for more than 4 of them. 4. Yeah. Bye. Helen's military background didn't just inform her leadership style, it defined it. She made Mills an easy target for... She made Mills an easy target. She made Mills an easy target for Northeastern's acquisition by asset stripping, cutting programs like dance and book arts, and devaluing the school from within, quelling any kind of dissent from the students, faculty, and alums. Which is weird, because when I was there, I just happened to go to this weird thing that I heard about at the last minute, which was like an artist talking about their art and like their mission and stuff. And so I went, and I wasn't raising my hand, but for some reason somebody thought I was raising my hand. And it's because I'm already a artist that makes political art. I already had a question in mind, so it was a coincidence. However, it was very awkward for me to be called on when I did not ask to be called on. And so I was just like, yeah, what do you have to say to, like, people that are, like, making political art right now and they're just starting their careers? And it sparked and started an interesting discussion, which I really don't remember because I was stressed out at the time and tired and in pain and other stuff. Anyway, lots of things going on. Lots of things which people don't understand. There's too many things going on for them to even fathom. Anyway, don't eat the everything bagel. It's a really bad idea. She ignored well-crafted financial plans instead of fabricating panic. Oh, wait. Whoa. That's not what it says. She did this instead of making panic. What is that? No, that's not what the rhythm is. No. Body. Stupid. She ignored well-crafted financial plans, instead fabricating panic over a financial crisis that wasn't as dire as claimed. Every move was aimed at reducing Mills's strength, just as strategic bombing weakens an enemy's infrastructure to force surrender. Beyond the alleged sudden financial black hole funneling money allegedly to the Cayman Islands, Hillman purportedly sold off priceless cultural assets, purportedly in that last part was in air quotes, such as a rare Shakespeare's First Folio for only $10 million. And I know for some people that sounds like a lot of money, but we have to consider what we're talking about and the time that we live in and the amount of money people are making these days and the amount of money people aren't making these days. She sold a rare Shakespeare First Folio for only $10 million and a handwritten Mozart manuscript for less than $3 million. Excuse me? These were not emergency sales to save the school. The alumni had already answered every call for donations, raising a total of, and I quote, fucking IDK, more than enough! Between 2011 and 2020, not to mention the suddenly empty endowment. I'm sorry, $10 million for those individually is nothing. Jeff Bezos makes more money than that in the time it takes for his own fart to travel directly from his anus back into his own mouth. How is the price tag on these items the equivalent of the amount it should cost for poor people to buy a sandwich in comparison? No offense, I'm just saying he ain't worth that much. All right, fine, a baby sliver of offense. So if these sales weren't going to rescue Mills from immediate danger, why sell them at all? And why for so little? The answer, these sales weren't about survival. They were about weakening Mills's intellectual and cultural foundations, chipping away at its The answer, these sales weren't about survival. They were about weakening Mills's intellectual and cultural foundation, chipping away at its identity until it crumbled. Northeastern's decision to ship Mills's archives and historical collections to their headquarters in Boston stripped the institution of its core identity. By erasing these materials from local access, they ensured the future. By erasing these materials from local access, they ensured that future generations would be severed from Mills's history. The removal of these assets Thank you, Seven, whoever Seven is in this context. If I'm Pete, whoever the fuck Seven is, I guess maybe. I mean, I've got a couple people it could be. By erasing these materials from local access, they ensured that future generations would be severed from Mills's history. The removal of these assets extracted value from the school while leaving the removal of these assets extracted value from the school while leaving the institution hollowed out. So you tell me why Hillman's leadership followed a consistent pattern of undermining Mills's reading can be hard sometimes. So you tell me why Hillman's leadership followed a consistent pattern of undermining Mills College at every turn, gutting departments, dismissing key faculty, reducing opportunities for academic advancement, ignoring every resource available like the Taproot Foundation or such as, God forbidding, reinstituting the incredibly successful alumni admissions recruitment program or whatever it is, and effective marketing strategies, pushing a failure narrative to justify dismantling the college. And for what? To make the Bay Area look like some kind of a chump for some international crypto globy fraud scheme? Listen, I know I sound crazy. I mean, why would anyone believe me? Listen, I know I sound crazy, but why would anyone believe me? Don't believe... Hey! Knock it off! Knock it off! Knock it off. No, knock it off. 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 Don't believe Northeastern University. None of this was random. These were calculated moves designed to eliminate Mills's ability to remain competitive in the academic world, making it easier for Northeastern to step in with minimal resistance. The effects of these decisions were deeply felt, both financially and academically. Regarding academics, Hillman's actions devalued Mills, causing enrollment to plummet, and despite only providing unsubstantiated claims of financial distress, assets were liquidated, the endowment was undervalued, the offshore accounts were allegedly linked to Mills's financial history. And yet what hurts the most is that many alumni, myself included, were initially enamored with Hillman, giving her, which was at the time, well-deserved benefit of the doubt. Hillman's shifting narratives left the community confused and uncertain, many leading to question many oh man. Hillman. This is hard right now, but I just want to get it done. I'm so tired. Okay. It's fine. Everything's fine. Okay. Okay. Don't even get me started. You fuck my wife? I am your wife. I am your wife and I fucked her. That's what got me started. The moment when I got started would definitely be definitely be when I fucked your wife. Hillman's shifting narratives left the community confused and uncertain, leading many to question the transparency of the administration. But her constant concern and lack of enthusiasm for Mills's strengths that allowed her to gaslight the community is a tactic reminiscent of the 45th returning resident of the White House. Hey, sorry, not sorry. It calls them like sexisms. I mean, having a badass gay Air Force member as president of one of the most progressive universities at the time felt so right. But she wasn't supposed to be working for Agent Orange. On the other side, objection, inflammatory, leading, witness, whatever. I don't care if you allow it, Your Honor. Listen! I've played Phoenix Wright, and I know Dimension 20 Fantasy Hive back to front. I don't care who you are. You don't want to mess with this conspiracy nut. I will confuse you so profoundly, so quickly, and so easily, and so fast. No, I promise you, you don't understand. It's not something that's in my control. It's the only defense mechanism I have. By eliminating core programs, ones that defined Mills for more than a century, she made the institution less valuable to its students and stakeholders while keeping it lucrative for an acquisition. In spite of its In spite of its outward enthusiasm for Mills's social justice mission, I'm starting to think that Northeastern never had any interest in preserving Mills's academic legacy or empowering women. Northeastern's actions resulted in Mills losing much of his academic legacy, raising concerns about their true priorities. Their target was always its real estate and other assets. Hillman's tactics systematically weakened Mills, paving the way for Northeastern's hostile takeover. Through corporate sabotage, asset stripping, and value destruction, she orchestrated the sale of Mills College, not to protect its mission, but to benefit herself and Northeastern. And oh yeah, who else? Any top dog asshole you can think of. I don't care what side of the aisle any of you lunatics are on. Yes, that one. Hillman's actions suggest a pattern that raises serious questions about her intentions. Did Hillman take this job in good faith? Did she make this deal in bad faith? Many in the Mills community felt understandably betrayed by Many in the Mills community felt understandably betrayed by Hillman's decisions, seeing them as a deliberate path to a sale rather than an effort to save the college. But this wasn't just poor leadership, it was a textbook case of mismanagement. But this wasn't just poor leadership. It was a textbook case of mismanagement benefiting everyone except the school. Hillman running Mills College was like putting an arsonist in charge of the National Park Service. I mean, if this were a corporate crime movie, this would be the part where the executives set the place on fire and say, "Check, please." Even though the official language of this merger called it... Even though the official language called this a quote-unquote merger, the consensual doublespeak of Mills' acquisition by Northeastern was always designed to mask a hostile takeover. I'm only on page 18. Jesus fucking Christ. Northeastern's growing involvement in defense research raises ethical questions about the intersection of academia and military funding. But the connections between Northeastern and the military don't stop at Hillman. I mean, but how long and how deeply has Northeastern been in love with the police and military-industrial partnerships? Northeastern has cultivated extensive partnerships with defense agencies, raising questions about the intersection of military collaboration and higher education, putting a new spin on Where was I? Northeastern has cultivated extensive partnerships with defense agencies, raising questions about the intersection of military collaboration and higher education, putting a new spin on liberal arts. Because why analyze Moby Dick when you can also learn corporate sabotage? It's English lit with a minor in war crimes. Who else knew the actual original true and correct idiom was "the pen is mighty, but crime pays better"? They didn't teach that at Mills. What they did? And you didn't tell me? Oh, right. The signal jammers, duh. Sorry, my bad. Silly me. I keep forgetting my tin hat. Oh, no. Did I leave it at Mills? Oh, well. No big deal. I mean, I have another one. It's just not as comfortable. In 2019, Northeastern University unveiled its state-of-the-art drone. In 2019, Northeastern University unveiled its state-of-the-art drone facility at the Innovation Campus in Burlington, Massachusetts, funded by the U.S. Navy Office of Naval Research. The cost is In 2019, Northeastern University unveiled its state-of-the-art drone research facility at the Innovation Campus in Burlington, Massachusetts, funded by the U.S. Navy Office of Naval Research. The Costas Research Institute / Northeastern University Expeditionary Cyber Unmanned Aerial System Research and Development Facility, the first of its kind in the U.S. It's dedicated to advancing drone warfare and cybersecurity, built with a $2.8 million grant from the Air Force Life Cycle Management Center, as if we needed another reason to not trust the alleged man named, allegedly, Michael Costa, who, to be clear, is probably not allegedly involved in any alleged drone-related alleged warfare, unless he's moonlighting as a defense contractor between comedy gigs, in which case, allegedly, sir, allegedly explain yourself. During the unveiling, military and academic leaders attended live demonstrations, solidifying Northeastern's seemingly increasingly and strangely normalized alignment with defense agencies. Their growing presence in national security raises unsettling questions about the intersection of military collaboration and higher education. So what I'm hearing is, if liberal colleges want to survive in this brave new world, maybe it's time for a new motto. Think critically, unless you're an administrator looking for plausible deniability. With Northeastern diving into defense research and education budgets circling the drain, the future of the Department of Education is clear. Cybersecurity and the art of drinking bleach, or the art of drowning in my student loans, but at least I'm drowning with my parents. What we have here is a masterclass in the slow, deliberate destruction of an institution, and not just any institution, a women's college with a legacy of resistance. What I'm telling you is that Beth Hillman, a former Air Force war strategy connoisseur, allegedly went out of her way and used her alleged strategic bombing skills to allegedly take out a liberal arts college for what? For alleged fun? I wish I allegedly knew. This is like if The Godfather and Dr. Strangelove had a baby, but instead of mob ties, you put a baby in charge of our nuclear code. Oh, wait, sorry. Not to be overly sensitive, but some of us libtards, might have been a little too soon. Which, by the way, if I was a handwritten Mozart manuscript, I'd want to be sold for more than $10 million. You know, I don't know much about corporate sabotage, but I mean, if you're selling priceless artifacts for pennies on the dollar, you've gotta be. I mean, I wish I was joking. So what? So Hillman was basically a sleeper agent for corporate interests, and she executed a flawless long con on an entire institution. impressive. Terrifying, but impressive. It's basically like, in Star Trek Odyssey, I think it's the episode Riva Las Vegas, where Brennan says basically it's basically like you walk into a telephone booth and you sell years off your life by running in place so that you can't have, so that you can just have money so that you can just have enough money to turn your life around. Okay, let me try this again. It's basically like you walk into a telephone booth and sell years off your life by running in place so that you can have just enough money to turn your life around and walk right back into to turn your life around and walk right back into the casino so that you can keep gambling because that's what's important. Bravo, Beth Hillman. Higher ed is uncharted, unregulated territory for neoliberal terraforming. So, Hillman, I guess that means you're a pioneer. Again, I'm not trying to make anybody look any type of way. It's a bold strategy in theory. But when your strategy involves cutting beloved academic programs and beloved tenured professors and selling off priceless, rare cultural assets for next to nothing, you've crossed into, well, let's just say it doesn't look good. This is a masterclass in what? How not to lead a college? What am I saying? She's not a sleeper agent. That would be crazy. But can someone just clarify for me? Is this a CIA thriller or just an overly complicated and completely boring case of gross administrative negligence? What did we think was going to happen? Hiring Hillman? That's like giving a raccoon your house keys and a flamethrower and acting surprised when your house is gone. This is a strategy only taught in the Anti-Leadership 101 textbook. And I would know because I took that class at Mills. This is a strategy only taught in the Anti-Leadership 101 textbook. And I would know. I took that class at Mills. Look, I've seen some questionable tactics. I drive my brother crazy when we play Dungeons and Dragons, but did she really have to go out of her way to be an expert in corporate sabotage? That's like putting a shark in charge of SeaWorld and being shocked when all the dolphins disappear. You don't get that luxury. So she bombed a college. But instead of an explosion, it was just an underfunded library and a canceled dance program, so nobody cared? And then she sold off the Mozart and Shakespeare because... So what exactly did this Matrix Hillman cooked up look like? She basically called Mozart, and I quote, a jalopy lemon with cheese for legs instead of wheels. Ladies and gentlemen, do not stare too closely into the eyes of the jalopy cheese board. Ladies and gentlemen, do not stare too closely into the eyes of the jalopy cheese boy. Oh! Ladies and gentlemen, do not stare too closely. No, this doesn't work either. I don't know what's happening. Ladies and gentlemen, do not stare too closely into the eyes of the jalopy cheese boy, for if you look too long into his dairy Swiss pupils, you will hear, and I do mean hear, the curvature of the earth. Unless, of course, you don't believe in that sort of thing. No, we completely understand that. Oh, and this is important. You will still re-experience your own birth through the mind of yourself as an adult for the first time again. You won't know where, you won't know when, but it's coming. Frequency? Oh, I don't know. Try 365 days a year, every year per infinitum, every nanosecond divided by negative x, but only when x stands for the negative square root of negative zero. I mean, me too. But seriously, at this point, Hillman's next job will probably be managing a controlled dilemma. But seriously, at this point, Hillman's next job will probably be managing a controlled demolition site, except the only thing she'll be destroying is hope. Oh, wait. I mean, Hillman's strategy isn't even the art of war. It's more like the art of making sure no one has a job by 2025. What next? Do we find out What next? Do we find out she sold off the Mona Lisa for a free parking spot? Maybe the next military maneuver is just her eliminating student debt by making sure no one has a degree at all. I'm no expert, but I'm pretty sure that strategic bombing is supposed to take out, like, military targets. I don't know, a real threat. Not the Bethavakian rejects, myself included, from the San Francisco Girls Chorus. I mean, bruh, that's like... Bruh, that's like putting Vin Diesel in charge of the DMV. Everything's gonna get destroyed, but it's gonna happen fast. This is what happens when your college president has a military background and you forget to read the cautionary tales clause before hiring. That's supposed to be for war. Not for literally warping the very identity of a historic, goddamn beloved, globally impactful feminist institution. I guess I see the confusion, though. Did you know? They're almost the same word. Let me be clear. Beth Hillman, trained in military tactics, thought, you know what? The next logical step in my career is to dismantle a college. There is nothing strategic about actively undermining such an influential institution, cutting beloved programs, and then making it ripe for acquisition. It's like setting up an elaborate It's like setting up an elaborate game of Jenga and then pretending the blocks weren't already removed from the bottom right before the tower comes crashing down. There is nothing strategic about actively undermining such an influential institution, cutting beloved programs, and then making it ripe for acquisition. It's like setting up an elaborate game of Jenga and then pretending the blocks weren't already removed from the bottom right before the tower. And then pretending the blocks weren't already removed from the bottom right before the tower comes crashing down. Unless it was indeed strategic. While Mills College faced an existential crisis, another institution was grappling with similar issues. Hampshire College in Massachusetts. Much like Mills, the attempt to acquire Hampshire College by the University of Massachusetts sparked a movement among students, faculty, and alumni. The difference? Hampshire's community successfully rallied in defense of the college's unique identity and mission. Hampshire students, faculty, and alumni feared justifiably that corporate interests would prioritize profit over the values and had long defined their Educational experience. Much like Mills, the attempt to acquire Hampshire College, but no, god fucking damn it. Ah! Much like Mills, the attempt to acquire Hampshire College by the University of Massachusetts sparked a movement among students, faculty, and alumni. The difference? Hampshire's community successfully rallied in defense of the college's unique identity and mission. Hampshire students, faculty, and alumni feared justifiably that corporate interests would prioritize profit over the values that had long defined their educational experience. Sorry. Capitalism just nut-punched me in the face again. Sorry, capitalism just nut-punched me in the face again. Sorry. Capitalism just nut-punched me in the face again. But thanks to the opportunistic timing, immediately after the pandemic, when students were already traumatized and isolated and not as involved nor bonded as we normally are, and Beth Hillman's efforts to decentralize stakeholder power, we could not follow in Hampshire's footsteps. The documentary, The Unmaking of a College, details the struggles between maintaining a legacy of educational excellence and fighting back against the push for corporate expansion. Hampshire's stakeholders worried that an acquisition would strip away not only its independence, but also the very essence of what made their college special. And when you look at Mills, that is exactly what happened. Remember before when I mentioned McKinsey? Guess who also facilitated the Hampshire College takeover? Both these attempts were facilitated by the same PR firm, McKinsey and Company, because of course they were. Nothing says we value education like bringing in the same consultants who advised Purdue Pharma during the Both of these attempts were facilitated by the same PR firm, McKinsey and Company, because of course they were. Nothing says we value education like bringing in the same consultants who advised Purdue Pharma during the opioid crisis. Maybe when you invite the guys that do PR work for the authoritarian regimes, this might not be about education anymore. McKinsey's role in higher education reflects a growing corporatization of colleges known for advising on financial restructuring, mergers, and acquisitions. McKinsey played a pivotal role in the controversial absorption of Mills College by Northeastern University. And their approach? Framing these actions as solutions to financial instability while conveniently ignoring the long-term damage. This is my life. This is my fucking life that you did a pandemic for. Or didn't. That you allegedly did not do a pandemic for. As Walt Bogdanich and Michael Forsyth observe in When Kinsey Comes... As Walt Bogdanich and Michael Forsyth observe in When McKinsey Comes to Town, the first often... As Walt Bogdanich and Michael Forsyth observe in When McKinsey Comes to Town, the firm often advances the interests of the powerful at the expense of the weak, leaving lasting destruction in its wake. This is a broader trend of treating colleges as commodities rather than community institutions, the historic role of liberal arts colleges as spaces for critical thinking and empowerment, well, that's just not as profitable as real estate investments, apparently. So mad. I'm so mad. I want to crease. I want to scry. I want to scream and cry. I want to cry and scream. I want to scry. On I don't know what. Something. Page 22. Jesus fucking Christ. I'm gonna make a little marker of silence here. Hampshire's resistance forced the deal to collapse, but Mills became a dry run that refined the process for future acquisitions. These tactics reveal a deliberate strategy to dismantle independent educational institutions under the guise of financial necessity. And unfortunately, Northeastern isn't done yet, not to gloss over the fact that Northeastern is about to do it again, or depending on when you're watching/hearing this, will have already done it with another small arts college, Marymount Manhattan College in New York City. I don't want this. They don't want people realizing that they're repeating history. Even though their entire modus operandi follows the exact playbook of the early Catholic empire building practices. They don't want people realizing that they're repeating history, even though their entire modus operandi follows the exact playbook of early Catholic empire building. Can we just, let's face it, this was a hit job. Beth, you know what? I mean, maybe you should have just stuck to teaching, I don't know, math, instead of wrecking people's futures? But hey, in the end, you gotta hand it to her. At least she was effective in the worst way possible. Mills College wasn't just bricks and mortar. It was a sanctuary for marginalized voices and progressive thought. The consequences of acquisitions like these aren't just financial. They systematically erase institutions that challenge dominant power structures. And if you think that this isn't about power, then think again. Beth, honey, sweetie, darling. Maybe, just maybe if your entire career history reads like the resume of a rabid hedge fund magnate, you're not actually working in the best interest of the students. And now you're in charge of a sentimental historic monument. New York. Keep your eye out. So they take out Mills Call of Duty style. And now with Marymount, they're just speed running the destruction of independent colleges like a goddamn video game glitch. Oh, yeah, we found an exploit in the university merger system. If you just press corporate interests and financial mismanagement and global PR firm at the same time, you can skip straight to total institutional collapse. Brilliant. I mean, like, imagine you're going to the hospital and the doctor says, I hear you. Cancer, I hear you. Now, we could save your life, but have you considered bankruptcy instead? Dying? Bankruptcy? Financial ruin? Seems a bit more fun, I think, personally. I mean, this is free market efficiency at its finest. Why let a college stand for something and community when it can instead be another revenue stream? McKinsey and Company is like that one friend who insists on just giving helpful advice, but somehow every time they show up, your life gets demonstrably worse. Oh, you're struggling financially? Have you tried selling your soul and dismantling everything that makes you unique? No? Well, lucky for you, we specialize in that. I mean, they're not consultants, they're corporate grim reapers with PowerPoint presentations. It's like the tobacco industry sponsoring children in hospitals. Sure, little Timmy, your lungs. Sure, little Timmy, your lungs may be failing, but on the bright side, your medical debt is tax deductible. Meanwhile, Northeastern is out here collecting colleges like Infinity Stones. With all the power of these mergers combined, we summon the most soulless corporate university of all time. That's not higher education. That's a real estate acquisition spree with a side of syllabus. And yet, every time another school gets absorbed, people act surprised. I mean, you don't get that excuse anymore. Northeastern's actions resulted in the absorption of Mills's assets. While some might want to call this a merger, let's be real, this was a hostile takeover, While some might want to call this a merger, let's be real, this was a heist. I mean, it was a heist. That's not what the word is. While some might want to call this a merger, let's be real. This was a hostile takeover dressed up as a PR friend. Fuck! What? Oh well, it's already happened. I'm not taking it out. The world's gonna know. Oh, cool. You're 23 years old. You're 23 years old. Yeah, that's why I can say the word fuck. Paraphrased, of course. Britannic. All those guys. Let's be real. This was a hostile takeover dressed up in friendly PR language. This was a hostile takeover dressed up in PR friendly language. And you promised to uphold Mills's legacy of equity, social justice, and minority leadership. just can't help. And guess what? The first department cut? Women's Studies. The one department that embodied everything Mills stood for. A slap in the face would be less disrespectful. Northeastern didn't just erase Mills College, it scrubbed it down to the bones. Oh, we'll just absorb Mills, take its land, erase its history, and whoops. Was that a women's studies department? I didn't even take women's studies. How did that get there? Let's get rid of that immediately. And the consequences didn't stop there. Campus safety and student well-being. Coincidence? Since Northeastern's arrival, students have reported an increase in sexual assault rates on campus, but of course, NU is not about to admit that. This is the same institution that refused to release campus safety data on its Boston campus for years. Meanwhile, the new Northeastern run security team is armed, despite the fact that Mills had never needed weapons before, because nothing says creating a safer environment quite like introducing guns to a campus that prided itself on being a safe haven. So, and I mean, what about the Mills alums and the broader Oakland community? They're being locked out. Restrictions on alumni and community accesses has tightened, as though letting former students use gym or a professor somehow poses a security threat? No, the real reason is clear. Northeastern wants total control, every entrance monitored, every movement tracked. The campus is no longer a community space, it's a surveillance zone. Why do you think I haven't returned to campus? Yeah, I know I sounded paranoid. Did I have a reason to be? Sounds like I did. And what about the Mills alums and the broader Oakland community? They're being locked out. Restrictions on alumni and community access has tightened, as though letting former students use the gym or visit a professor somehow poses a security threat? No, the real reason is clear. Northeastern wants total control. Every entrance monitored, every movement tracked. The campus is no longer a community space, it's a surveillance zone. They've left the Mills faculty to rot. The faculty that remained, they've been treated like remnants, as if they're just biding their time waiting for the inevitable, like it's a goddamn Friday the 13th movie. The faculty equivalent of Jason Voorhees somehow still standing despite all odds, despite every attempt to bury them. You ever see the movie Final Girls? It's pretty good. Whatever it's called, you'll know which one I'm talking about when you find it. I just was saying Jason stuff. We're gonna cut this out. I mean, the students were swindled and abandoned, not to mention the Mills students who were promised an education at a women's college with a progressive mission. We were swindled, funneled into a bait and switch scam where our school was dissolved out from under us. because this wasn't a high-profile university, because it didn't come with the prestige of a Harvard or a Stanford, the world never saw it coming. Brannigan, stop breathing down my neck. Why, Nathan, you know I'm not Lieutenant Brannigan. We don't even wear the same perfume. I mean, the scam was right in front of us and nobody stopped it. And, I mean, you don't have to look far to see the way that it impacted Oakland. Let's look at what was stolen. It wasn't just Mills that suffered. Oakland lost one of the most important institutions and largest cornerstones for progress. Double meaning here. A's, athletics, gone. Gone from the curriculum. The baseball team is gone. The very teams that gave students a chance to compete and build a community upon graduating erased because they didn't fit Northeastern's vision. Despite an Oakland City Council resolution calling for an investigation into the merger, no action has been taken. And why? Because the two council members who pushed for it are conveniently no longer in office. Somehow, the city just forgot. Northeastern's trustees are bankrolling Trump. While the rest of the university postures as progressive, its board of trustees is making political donations that directly oppose the values Mills once stood for. This wasn't just a merger. This was a corporate raid, a hostile takeover of a beloved institution, and a trial run for the future of higher education, a world where universities operate like private corporations, where schools are assets to be acquired, stripped for parts, and discarded. Mills College wasn't the first, and it won't be the last. This is part of Northeastern's grand buffet of college takeovers. They've done it in London. They've done it in Boston with the Nahat Marine Science Program, where the locals openly accuse them of strong-arming the community into land deals for a nonprofit institution. Northeastern sure has a suspiciously aggressive real estate portfolio, because at some point this stops looking like higher education. It starts looking like the Monopoly guy just eating schools for breakfast. I mean, we're talking about a nonprofit institution flipping colleges like they're fixer-uppers on HGTV, except instead of a big reveal, it's just a plaque that says, now owned by Northeastern. It's basically the same business model as every bad landlord ever. They're not expanding higher education. They're playing an incredibly bougie version of Pac-Man. And if you don't think this will ever happen again, well, welcome to America, where learning from history is about as popular as independent bookstores in a town with 5 Amazon warehouses. Bill S. 830, titled An Act Relative to the Financial Transparency of Colleges, aims to improve financial oversight for institutions facing financial difficulties. Basically, it's there to make sure schools don't get swallowed whole without anyone noticing. You know, just a little transparency bill that wasn't inspired by Northeastern's acquire and erase strategy, just a total coincidence. It's just like how every time my Wi-Fi cuts out, it's always right before I'm about to cancel my subscription. But let's be real. This bill exists because of takeovers like this. Northeastern capitalizes on vulnerability, reshapes colleges to fit its brand, and in the process erases the very Northeastern capitalizes on vulnerability, reshapes colleges to fit its brand, and in the process erases the very characteristics that made these institutions unique. I mean, Northeastern's motto might as well be buy low, erase high, because when you think of a nonprofit institution, you think of one buying up schools like a tech bro hoarding NFTs completely devoid of meaning, but somehow still a massive legal financial scam. And if they'd done it this many times, shouldn't every one of their acquisitions be called into question? Northeastern's PR team will do everything to discredit this story. Probably gaslighting the world into thinking that this was, I don't know, misfiled paperwork. Or that I was just fat. You know, who else tried to take down their critics? Nixon, Scientology, every bad guy in a Disney movie never works there. But universities protect their money and reputations above all else. When exposed, institutions react by denying, retaliating, and when exposed, nope. When exposed, institutions react by denying, retaliating, or making small changes to avoid real accountability. But yeah, sure, I expect some cease and desist nonsense. Problem is, you can't sue someone for quoting your own financial records. Northeastern's PR team will do everything to discredit this story, probably gaslight the world into thinking that it was just misfiled paperwork or that I was just fat. But you know who else tried to take down their critics? Nixon, Scientology, every bad guy in a Disney movie. It never works there. But universities protect their money and reputation above all else. When exposed, institutions react by denying, retaliating, or making small changes to avoid real accountability. But yeah, sure, I expect some cease and desist nonsense. Problem is, you can't sue someone for quoting your own goddamn financial records. Problem is, you can't sue someone for going, Problem is, you can't sue someone for quoting your own financial records. I would like a high five from Mike Ross right now. Or Rachel Zane, or all of them. Or just them all around me. And maybe also Phoenix Wright. Whoever else wants to be there would be great. That would be nice. Let me get this straight. When a school is struggling, instead of helping, Northeastern rolls up like a loan shark in a suit. Nice institution you got here. Would be a shame if someone were to, I don't know, strip it for parts, sell its soul to the highest bidder. And the pandemic, oh, what a convenient coincidence. Because the only thing worse than fighting for your school's survival is fighting for your school's survival while dodging a deadly virus. Trying to save Mills in the middle of COVID, that's like organizing a protest during a hurricane. Except the hurricane isn't just wrecking everything, it's also screaming, "Heifer, where's my money? That's my man. I swear I will cut you. Bitch, I am from Chabot. Space and Science Center." At the end of the day, accountability shouldn't be about tearing down one bad actor at a time. It should be about making sure no one can exploit these systems again. That's why abolitionists' responses focus on community control, worker power, and prefigurative politics. building the alternative world while dismantling the corrupt one, which is very hard to do. This is not a normal thing we are trying to achieve in a normal circumstance. But people made choices for reasons. I couldn't tell you why. So the question isn't just how do we hold them accountable, it's how do we make sure no one ever gets this much unchecked power again. In today's political landscape where corporate greed is unchecked, the odds of immediate justice are low unless public pressure forces action. And the worst part, they're going to get away with it. Who's going to stop them? The courts? The politicians who looked the other way? The same people who signed off on these deals, and there it is. You don't get to play around in drone warfare and cybersecurity without some very interesting bedfellows. If you follow the money long enough, you always end up in the same places. Defense contracts, intelligence agencies, and corporate consolidation. So what can you do? First, fight back when higher educational institutions cut essential staff like admissions officers, who play a key role in keeping the schools financially afloat. Call on your representatives and the IRS. Don't let them kill it. Call on your representatives and the IRS to investigate Northeastern's acquisitions. All of them. Every single one of them. In every country. On every continent. In every universe. Demand the return of the Mills archives to allformills.com so that they can be published in full for public access. Take action now by signing the petitions in the description or texting this thingy. I don't know what it is yet, but it will be told to you or dubbed in here. Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. To resist bot. To reach your officials. Look it up. Ask someone to look it up for you. And alumni and support and to alumni and supporters, join upcoming community meetings to support what's left of Mills at investigatemills.com. The stakes? If voters aren't careful, they might actively vote for their own surveillance state in the upcoming mayoral election. Listen, we've all already been saying it's Handmaid's Tale. It's just not quite there yet, and that's what they're trying to do. Barbara Lee, please wake the fuck up. So, do Oakland voters... Through rapid gentrification and the rising popularity of policing makes this an uphill battle. I don't know if that sentence makes sense, but I don't have the energy. Excuse me. The only real leverage left, holding the Oakland City Council accountable for their 2021 vote to investigate the acquisition, an investigation that conveniently vanished into thin air. So, Mills College alums, Oakland residents, now it is the time to tell the council to follow through on their resolution and dig into this acquisition, because once NU's police force is entrenched, it won't be easy to dismantle. Because if this is what we can do when we're scattered and exhausted, when the powers that be have gone this out of their way to silence us and our story, oh, they are absolutely afraid of us. Mills College was once considered one of the most social justice-minded schools in the country. Now imagine how much more we could have done if the pandemic and all this panic and confusion hadn't been weaponized against us, and the call wasn't coming from inside the goddamn house. So that's how more... So that's how a more than 150-year-old institution built on progressive values got gutted like a fish. But don't be fooled. This isn't just about Mills. This is about every sanctuary, every liberal arts college that stands in the way of corporate greed. Yesterday it was Mills. Tomorrow, it could be your world. This is emblematic of the broader challenges facing higher education today. Financial hardships are prompting institutions to make difficult decisions, but it's crucial that these decisions are made transparently and with the best interests of the students, faculty, and the common good at heart. Northeastern takes over struggling schools, wipes out their unique identity, and rebrands them like a shady kiosk at a mall, selling fake Gucci bags. And Northeastern says they're disruptor positive? Oh, sure. Like a drunk guy who disrupts your dinner by flipping the table over after flipping grandma. Super positive. What's next? Harvard dorms converted into a Krispy Kreme. MIT turned into a Home Depot. Is every Airbnb now a Northeastern drone testing facility? Actually, I shouldn't give them ideas. I think we need to perform an exorcism on the entire collective global accounting department. Social media is literally voluntary panopticon. But even after all this, the fight isn't over. After all these people leaned in, believing Mills would survive. And it didn't, but yet it did. It does. Mills College still exists. Mills College still exists within us as an idea. I mean, within the Rebel Alliance, as far as I know anyway. I don't know about literally everyone else. But, look, we have to remember not all alums are the same. There is, allegedly, an older anti-POC queer faction purportedly believing they must not bite the hands of the sugar daddy. And, Mills alums definitely have a contingent of alums who came from wealthy, privileged families, even including, like lots of Hawaiian and indigenous royalty. Yet a fair number of these women likely spent their childhood learning how to negotiate their wealth and resources controlled by the patriarchal structure of their respective families. And hey, depending on their prerogatives, some of them are just selfish jerks. Their view of the world evolved from values relationships, and destinies spent on survival instincts, preserving what that patriarchal structure has allowed them to have, passing that to their children. How sad to be limited by that small existence and try to impose that structure on others. Luckily, the vast majority Luckily, the vast majority of millions do not fit that mold. But who knows? Maybe one day we will rebuild it. Wouldn't it be great if we got her back in her full glory? Because when I look at how they handled this, I don't see people who tried and failed. I see people who never tried at all, and let's be honest. And I really don't mean any offense. I still have immense respect for Beth Hellman. I still have a lot of love for Beth Hellman. But let's be honest, if Beth Hellman were any more of a corporate shill. Oh, and by the way, cute little coincidence, there's literally a building on NU Boston campus named Shillman Hall. She'd be starting... Oh gosh, that's painful. Talk about corporate vampire. If Beth Hillman were any more of a corporate shill, she'd be starring in an ExxonMobil commercial about how oil spills are actually great for every local fish because it just builds character. This isn't just Mills College, it's part of a wider trend of corporate takeovers of educational institutions. Small colleges are getting eaten alive, and guess who benefits? Rich people. No one cares that this one microcosm that ushered in its own historic cultural renaissance in the San Francisco Bay Area is gone. I really never expected to be legally obligated to say, wow, corporate greed is so bad. It just stole my lunch money and then asked me to thank it for the privilege. Don't you get it? They don't want things to get better. They don't want us to organize and fight. They don't want us to remind people of what Mills stood for. But if you do understand the value of empowering women, trans people, people of color, all marginalized students, disenfranchised and displaced people, then please help us hold Northeastern accountable. Because if you don't, the next college to go may be yours. And finally, some of you might still be wondering why. Why Mills College? Who cares? Well, I'll tell you why. Power, control, and manipulation. Not buying it? Well, you just lost more than an hour of your life to this video, pal. I'm so sorry for your loss. Yeah, that's right. I did this for her. Yeah, that's right. I did this for her. Oh, God, so tired. I'm going to sleep really well after I finish this. It's going to be really great. People are going to be weird to me because that's the only thing people know how to be at me. Cool, I guess. Leave me alone, but also what? What's happening? So, could Mills be spat back out? Short answer, I don't know, maybe. But Northeastern didn't just swallow Mills whole. They chewed it up, digested it, filed the remains under miscellaneous assets. They made damn near sure this takeover was legally irreversible and, or at least so complicated that most people would give up trying. Like I said, there's a reason I have to break this story. I didn't ask for it. I mean, I did, but not like that. I didn't know it would become this. I thought this would be something else way down the line. Hillman may have been someone else's pawn, but here's the thing about corporate vampires. They only win if nobody fights back. Hillman may have been someone else's pawn. Okay. So, could Mills be spat back out? Short answer, I don't know, maybe. But Northeastern didn't just swallow Mills whole. They chewed it up, digested it. They filed the remains under miscellaneous assets. They made damn near sure this takeover was legally irreversible. Or at least so complicated that most people would give up trying. What is my life? Hillman may have been someone else's pawn, but here's the thing about corporate vampires. They only win if nobody fights back. If the right pressure is applied, Mills could force its way back out of Northeastern's clutches. How? Well, we'll start with unmerging the legal way. If someone with lawyer money, or, just lawyers, proves fraud, deception, or straight up villainy, a court could rule the merger invalid. The California Attorney General could step in and challenge the deal if, of course, they actually want to do their job. Buying Mills back. Yes, indeed. This is a ransom situation. Mills alumni, a rich benefactor with, somebody with a guilty conscience, or, somebody with a lot of money could just give other people money to buy it back. You could donate to a charity that might be us. Me? I need money. I need support. I need help. Okay. 2. Buying back Mills. Yes, unfortunately, this is a ransom situation. Mills alumni, or, rich benefactor with a guilty conscience, or just somebody that wants to give me money personally, could buy Mills back. The catch? I don't know. To be clear, I don't want to, I don't know how involved I want to run it. I just want to own it. That's all I want to do. That's it. I want to, the catch. Hundreds of millions of dollars. An exorbitant amount of money that I can't even fathom. So, just check out your couch cushions, I guess. Also, who guides Mills so that this doesn't happen again? And I mean, it's still possible that, number 3, the government will step in. The city of Oakland could declare Mills a historic landmark, blocking Northeastern from flipping it like a cheap Airbnb. Or in a more extreme case, California could legally rip the campus out of Northeastern's hands, which would be delicious, honestly. Or my personal favorite, the Trojan horse approach. If students, faculty, and alumni wage a relentless legal and political campaign, they could push Northeastern's leadership into resignation and demand that Mills be reestablished. They could push Northeastern's leadership into resignation and demand that Mills be reestablished. If Northeastern loses enough money, power, and reputation, they might just cut Mills loose to save themselves. In fact, as this video is being published right now, the resistance has already done an incredible job doing a lot of guerrilla work, posting this script and video everywhere. Bottom line, will it happen? Can Mills College be reclaimed? Well, first, we have to assess how reasonable of a question this is. Listen, right now, Mills is trapped inside Northeastern like a bad burrito decision. But if this is... Listen. Right now, Mills is trapped inside Northeastern like a bad burrito decision. But if this expose takes off, lawsuits get filed, and public outrage reaches pitchforks and torches level, Northeastern might have no choice but to spit Mills back out. But lawsuits are expensive and take forever, and Northeastern has deep pockets, and they'll lawyer up like Bane x Batman on Hulk steroids and the blockbuster vaccine. If this blows up the right way, we could see the California Attorney General, alumni, and federal agencies getting involved. And if that happens, well, let's just say Northeastern might want to start practicing their best I can neither confirm nor deny statements. Well, and there we have it. My name is L.A. Bonet, and I am fucking crazy. Don't worry. Everything is going to be okay. I'm sorry, you're not dreaming, and that's not my fault. However, unfortunately, yes, I am a walking conspiracy board that came to life and started yelling at you nonstop for more than an hour. And, weirdly, a little thick. Let me just get ahead of the comment section and say, yeah, I know I'm a fat, ugly, evil, feminazi, bitch, stupid slut, and yeah, whatever, and I'm black. Remember that part in Dear White People where they call that character Elisa Bonet wannabe? It's really hard not to take that personally. Look, I don't want fame. I'm not asking for fortune. I'm just sick and tired of being invisible and silenced. All I want is for people to stop acting like assholes, and that's a big ask. I used to watch my dad, bless his heart, stand outside of the grocery outlet after school yelling for hours, yelling some conspiracy theory about 9/11 while I had a goddamn book report due. Oh, damn it. All I want is for people to stop acting like assholes, and that's a big ask? I used to watch my dad, bless his heart, stand outside of the grocery outlet after school for hours yelling some conspiracy theory about 9/11 while I had a goddamn book report on Charlotte's Web due. What is my life? Listen. Regarding Angel Heart, you ever have a movie that just follows you your entire life? Not like in a fun way, more in like a did I accidentally sign a cosmic contract I didn't read kind of a way? I swear. Angel Heart has been haunting me since before I even knew what legal consent was. Which reminds me, Harvey Specter, Mike Ross, if you're out there, am I legally allowed to say this? Because if not, I need a loophole like yesterday. And I'm supposed to be saying, me? How am I the crazy one when Ronan Farrow, the Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, has not allegedly confirmed that he has not been allegedly stalking me for allegedly not at least the last 6 months? He also did not allegedly submit a Freedom of Information Act request on my Google Maps history, nor did he allegedly petition the Library of Congress not to allegedly archive my text messages at any alleged point in the last 10 years. You think I don't know? Like I'm supposed to believe that I'm losing my mind over here when he has not been allegedly lurking around, like he's not some kind of horrible, uncanny, weird, demonstrably deformed, socky, sick, little, cryptid, puppy, freak. Like he hasn't been allegedly investigatively journalisming at me through the bushes in a ghillie suit, watching my every move. He also did not allegedly reverse engineer. He also did not allegedly reverse engineer my Spotify Wrapped to predict the exact month I'd spiral into a folk music phase and then create a fake indie band with AI generated songs just to see if I'd emotionally imprint on them? Well, I did, Ronan. But why? What does he want? For what purpose? But no, Ronan Farrow, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, has a different game in mind. He allegedly didn't not make it his mission to not watch me closely and not mess with every little part of my life. Because guess what? When I was 7 years old, I started to notice that my oat milk was always shifted slightly to the left. Who even thinks of doing that? You have to... Oh. I get it. There can only be one. I mean, think about it. Who else would go to such lengths? And don't get me started on my fan, Habibi boy. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? Because
when I came back into the room, it was already slightly turned a little bit to the left. His signature. It's like he personally keeps having the entire room recalibrated just to fuck with me, and I can tell that it's him because he keeps making me hear things. But no, he wants me to think it's all a coincidence, but guess what? I wasn't crazy. Well, maybe I was, but I wasn't imagining it. Ronan didn't just allegedly stalk me from my living room to the kitchen and back. No, the man has infiltrated every waking moment of my life. But there's really no telling how far he'll really go. How far would he take it? So get this, while he's stalking me right now, I'm stalking him right back to where he belongs. I knew this little silver spoon-mouthed motherfucker knew where this place was, but why is he here? No, it has to be bigger than this. You, with your ridiculously delicious-looking silver spoon mouth, you with your Pulitzer Prize top secret journalistic skills. So you're telling me you went all this way to Bohemian Grove just to what? Oh yeah, I know it. Don't act like I don't see right through your elaborate web of, I don't know, sensitive investigative nature or whatever you're calling it, but no! See, I was following the breadcrumbs, and do you know what I found? I found you, Ronan, just like I thought I would, just like I knew I would. Who else would be dumb enough to do this? Not just as some stupid journalist, but as a whole goddamn puppet master. Just like... I know you've got your whole operation on my every move, every single grain of oat milk, just like they're allegedly not making a Pirates of the Dark Water reboot starring not Michael Ruffalo. But, oh no. It's much worse. You've been infiltrating my every waking moment like some insane, hyper-intelligent covert operation, and you know I noticed, but you didn't think I noticed, right? And that's how slick you think you are, moving my fridge stuff, tweaking my ceiling fan like I wouldn't catch on, recalibrating my entire environment. It was like you were training me, like a lab rat. But make it stocky chic.
So yeah, I know you're watching, Ronan. But guess what? I'm watching you right back. You think you can outstock me?
You think you can outstock me? You think I won't go even further? Wait for it, Ronan. This little game is not over yet. And that silver spoon, oh, we both know that thing is not just for eating with that stupid, pretty boy mouth of yours. No, that's for manipulating, for slipping into places you don't belong. You've been keeping tabs on me with all your fancy, allegedly super genius tricks. But what about me, Ronan? What about me?
What about my power? You're not just stalking me, Ronan. You're stalking me through the ethereal plane, aren't you? The fan wasn't just moved to the left, it was moved into the fifth dimension. My oat milk wasn't just off-center, it was clipping like bad video game My oat milk wasn't just off-center, it was
My oat milk wasn't just off-center. It was clipping like bad video game graphics straight through the wall, right through the multiverse. You've unlocked the secrets of reality. Haven't you, Ronan?
Is that it? Are you tapping into our cosmic energies? Are we finally playing the same game now, Ronan? Because guess what? I'm not just any amateur sleuth. You're talking to a seasoned mind, baby. And you made your move. You shifted my fan. You made my oat milk tilt like I wouldn't notice. But what did you forget? You thought you were the one weaving your little web of control, but see, I'm one step ahead of you. Every time you thought you were pulling the strings, I was untangling your web. Because the truth is, Ronan, I've been following you. Every move you make, I've been tracking you from the shadows. But here's the kicker, sugar. See, you thought you were messing with my life, but moving my oat milk? But you didn't know that I was using my own special technique to screw with yours. You see? Every corner you turn, every step you take, I am right there behind you, watching, listening, in a ghillie suit. And now I've tapped into something even deeper than your very cosmic essence, Ronan. You think you're the only one who can... You think you're the only one who can manipulate the world around you? Oh no. I'm the one who controls your little game now. Listen here. I'm coming for you, Ronan. I'm coming through the very walls you thought were secure, the very VPNs and phone lines you thought were private, through the very air you breathe. I'm watching. And when I find you in that little bohemian grove of yours, you won't even know what hit you. I'll be standing right behind you, just like you've been standing right behind me this entire time. And when you turn around, Ronan, you'll see that I've already begun to set my next trap. You'll see that now the real game's just begun. You thought you were the puppet master? Well, I'm the puppet master now. And guess what? I've got more than strings. I've got wires, Ronan. I am a chunk mother. And you're all tangled up in a ghillie suit. And yes, to everyone else, my pronouns are they, them. But you have to earn my real ones. And while I may not have magic, can't fight or heal or do anything actually useful, I do kind of have wild magic, I guess. Call it bardic, call it barbarian rage, call it social media. The most powerful magic of all. Follow me at Newsroom for a Demon. Mills College, Class of 2020. You can try to bear the truth, but let's see if this one makes it out alive. God, who said that? My dad. I didn't ask for this. Who asked you? Roll for viral or roll for nuclear? Roll for nuclear. To whom it should gravely concern, this document serves as both a proclamation and a warning. The bearer of these words is not merely a witness to corruption, but its reckoning. The story they tell is not one of whispers, but screams a power. The story they tell is not of whispers, but screams a tale of The story they tell is not one of whispers, but screams a tale of power, devoured, rewritten, erased, and stolen. Those who think themselves untouchable will soon find their names carved into the bones of history, not as architects, but as ruins. The truths contained within this documentary are fortified beyond refute. The truths contained within this documentary are fortified beyond refute. The evidence is vast. The evidence is vast. The patterns undeniable. The names of the guilty inscribed in ink that does not fade. And yet, should you attempt to silence or bury what is written, and yet, should you attempt to silence or bury what is written here, you will only confirm your own guilt. You may think yourselves shrewd, shielded by bureaucracy, wealth, and deception, but I promise you this. A lie told long enough does not become the truth. It becomes an alibi that bleeds. Any attempt to suppress, threaten, or retaliate this writer, be it through litigation, intimidation, or the coward's tactic of erasure in all its many forms, will be met with countermeasures already in place. Every piece of evidence has been secured, every falsehood untangled, every thread in this tapestry of deception documented. This is not just a documentary. Oh, sorry. Did I just say that? I meant expose. This is a weapon forged from history itself. For if history is written by the victors, let us set the record straight. To the would-be suppressors, you may halt a voice, but you cannot unmake the echoes. To the would-be suppressors, you may halt a voice, but you cannot unmake the echoes. You may break a body, but you cannot kill the storm. You may erase a name. You may erase a name. But in doing so, you write in your own. You write your own into the abyss. This is not a threat. It is a truth. And truth, it's not gentle. Proceed wisely. Proceed wisely. Signed, the demon. Signed, the demon. This script was created with the organizational support of AI tools. The final product entirely reflects my hard work, my voice, my integrity, and my integrity. P.S. Next time someone says critical race theory is a nuisance, tell them, yeah, I'll say. And then send them this video with love from Harvey Specter, Phoenix Wright, and ChatGPT. XOXO, the bad kids, Commander Shepard and Garrus Vicarian 5 ever, and do not fucking at me, Elon Musk, I swear. If OpenAI... And do not fucking at me, Elon Musk, I swear if OpenAI doesn't give me some money, I said nothing! Oh, and Brennan, by the way, Clippy says hi, and that this is for you. And some legends say he's still outside that very same grocery outlet, screaming about 9/11 to this very day. And some legends say he's still outside that very same grocery outlet, still screaming about 9/11 to this very day. Oh, you thought that was it? You thought that was all I got? Oh, no, we're just getting started. Now, who's ready to burn the house to the ground? And cue the troll farms. And cue the troll farms. And cue the troll farms, dude. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. You go, girl. Who wants to be a millionaire? I don't.